because you are that, you are capable, you are gifted, and you are so unique. All of the things that you may hate about yourself are your strengths. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to be different. And it's so okay to just be you. The world awaits to receive you.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Secure Your Energy with your host, Lashley. This is part two to our actual Monday's broadcast, which we will be doing every Monday. And we explain what this is, and we already know. I just want to give you guys a heads up. Y'all may want to, tune in, tune out, because I'm gonna have to break this subject matter down, and it may be about an hour or so. I was previewing, and I'm like, how am I gonna break this down that it makes sense, that it's not biased, that you're going to understand each person's perspective and what position they play in our current currency system, the price in gold, and kind of how not the technicalities of the war, but the war itself has affected. We're not going to go into detail, but you're going to see a time and where we show you that some things change economically. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to some stuff. But before we do that, I just want to reference one thing. We did a video last week. If you did not see the video last week, that's fine. After this, I need you guys to go back to that video that we did last week, okay? And we're not going to show it here. But in that video, we went into a lot of back knowledge. I know you may see someone on the screen like this and say, "Oh, this is religious. This is that." No. Anything that I share is for information and educational purposes only. When I share information, I am very diverse. I can learn from a baby all the way to a pastor, all the way to a scientist. There's different information that's highlighted each subject matter from each perspective. So you're going to see we're not stingy. And yeah, we listen to everybody. But what I want you to do is when you get a chance, because this is a little long, this video is going to show you the foundations of the money system, how war, religion played a part. A little bit of hit the Kennedy situation, and many people kind of have a, gonna hit the conspiracy here just a little bit, but we're gonna read the facts behind it. Many people feel that Kennedy was off because of his decision that he was making in regards to the Federal Reserve. So you're gonna see a reference to that in this video. But I want to bring you up to date now because there was some information that I found in this pre research that actually links to another president that was in a deep scandal that I did not even know he was trying to connect the US dollar back to gold. We're going to get a little bit back into the Bretton Woods Agreement, just the foundations of it, not right now, but as we move through the broadcast, you're going to see how it makes sense. If you know what the Bretton Woods Agreement is, this is how they detach gold from the actual paper money. Okay, so let's get this broadcast started. I hope I broke down the concepts to its nature. We don't have a lot of videos because there's not a lot of people making videos on this. So we're kind of like original content creators. We're going to be reading certain articles. You're going to get the link and you're going to be able to read them and interpret them for yourself. So let's get to the first article where we're going to highlight economic discuss Russia China potential development of gold backed currency that could undermine the US dollar. This was in October 2022. You know that they've been talking about this in the conspiracy world for a long time. Yeah, don't laugh at me. I'm going to bring it up. Yes, we are. Because I pay attention to everybody. And certain things people say may seem outlandish, but then you look at then you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to discredit it. I'm not going to broadcast it, but what I will do, keep my eyes on the prize. And what we're seeing is some things unfold. Okay, so here we go. Just a breakdown of a few key points in this article, and we're going to share the link. Russia and China may be developing gold-backed currency. At this point, it's not maybe. They're actually doing it. Several experts have shared their view on Russia and China potential creating a new gold-backed currency. Fox Business reports Saturday emphasizing that China has been buying up huge quantities of gold while Russia was forced off the U.S. due to the U.S. dollar due to sanction imposed on the country following the invasion of Ukraine. Now, this gold rush has not it didn't just start it. Russia, as you see as we go through this, they've been building up their gold reserves a lot. And we're going to highlight the different forms of currency that they have as far as assets. And we're going to pay attention. Okay. Oh, good. So the new outlet noted that some expert has cautioned that these moves, along with closer relationship that has developed between Moscow and Beijing, points to the likelihood of China attempting to launch a gold-backed currency. This is not new. This is what they've been trying to do. However, neither Russia nor China has officially confirmed plans for such currency. All right, so two components in that strategy center around the development of the yang-based global commodity trading system. So they want to have their own trading system and efforts by China in partnership with Russia and other like-minded countries, but they ain't gonna name them because y'all gotta understand it's not just America. There's a lot of countries out there, and these countries have goals, aspiration, assets. They have their own currency, and they want to strive and build. So remember those things. So other countries to challenge dollars dominance by creating a new uh serve is like a new reserve. I do apologize. Currency. He told Fox. So the reserve currency, as we know, what we showed last week, what reserve currency is the United States dollar. It is the US dollar. You have to trade the US dollar to get certain commodities. You have to use your dollar and trade it into US dollars. And, the value is not the same. It takes a whole lot of their bills just to create a dollar. So this is the difference. This is the strength as far as in theory. So just to go down, the data from the Society of World Trade Interbank Financial Telecom, a global financial messaging firm, show that 42.6 of the global payment in August were in US dollar, 37 were in euro, 2.3 were in Chinese yuan. Now this was a couple of months ago. Okay, this was October 2022. You're going to hear how the tone rapidly change right now, but let's just keep this in mind. So this is the first article. I want you to kind of get the tone of what's going on, what our country going to say. We good. They can do this. As I go into articles, you're going to read. Um, I'm not going to call it propaganda, but I think it's strategic dropping of messages where they will talk about the position that Russia's in and how they're making themselves kind of the weaker link to China, because Russia's not talking about to be the world reserve currency. They just want it to be backed by gold. China want the yen to be everything. So I think this is the article that highlights it just a little bit more. Let me see, can I show y'all more of the article than my face? Um, let's get into it. Russia, China may be preparing again. Maybe preparing. This is still October 2022. I think it's something here that I just want to highlight. The idea of a joint Russia scenario currency has predictably surfaced over the past decades. This ain't new, especially after Russia central bank opened its first overseas office in Beijing in 2017. Now, 2017. This also highlights the concept that I knew that Russia and Beijing and China always had a relationship. I was listening to a broadcast of a Chinese representative, just talking about the relationships that these two countries have. And they have a mutual alleged respect for each other and each other's territory, values, culture, beliefs, and they are basically meeting in the middle to make sure that the agendas that they have that's aligned can move forward, equilaterally. I'm not saying evenly, but they want to both benefit from their harmonious relationship. So as you see, they're saying 2017, it's been a while. Because I think I mentioned, not on this broadcast, but yesterday, we have one of the South uh, African rebels. That's what they call them, rebels. He's from the EFF. His name is let me pull up his picture. Malama, Mr. Malama. Basically, Mr. Malama from South Africa, a rebel. He used to be within the government, and then they said that he turned astray and he said disrespectful stuff and turned into a rebel. He has his own EFF party. He said that he will escort Putin off of any plane in Africa that he has to get off to make sure that the international warrant is not served. So there are countries that's not small but big that actually support Putin. Okay, there is a video that I just released on Research or Die, I believe, and if I didn't release it on Primetime Home Buyers, but I hope y'all can get the link. I may share it. I'm going to share it. The link actually show geographical information pertaining to the making of the map and how greatly obscured the map is. Now, this person who broke down the facts behind this video that I uploaded basically is using square mileage and population to determine the size. Not even is a square mileage, not even a population. So it's like based on square mileage, for instance, they'll say China is 19.2 million miles. And then they'll have America, which is 7.2 million miles, but America is much bigger. That's just an example. That's not exactly what's in the video, but that is how. So, what that goes to say, the perception of power is greatly obscured with us as people in America, and we really have to use outside sources to kind of expand our horizons and get a real picture because they want us as comfortable as possible. People want us as comfortable as to not stress out and to not cause drastic change in our particular the economy. All right, so in essence, Beijing and Moscow are seeking to build their own sphere of influence and unite the currency within that sphere, in effect inoculating themselves from the threat of the United States sanction, he added. But the record among the gold that China has purchased has raised some eyebrows. even at the trend, Even as the trend remains under the radar for mainstream media, Swiss gold experts to China hyped hit a 5-year high, with Beijing in July alone receiving 80.1 tons of gold value at around 4.6 billion, more than double the 3.2 tons is bought in June, and the second highest monthly total since 2012, according. Okay. So they've been going on a buying frenzy. We're going to move a little bit forward into the commentary so you can start paying attention to exactly what's happening. Because if you have all of your assets in one portfolio or one asset, you never know what's going to happen. Okay. You never know. So now we're going to get into this article. Russia and China has been teaming up to reduce reliance on the dollar. Here's how. Now, this is a more up-to-date article. We're going to talk about what's happening here and today because some things are happening, and also the price of gold is shooting up. So I advise you to get a little is more than getting none. Okay. So, just days before Russia's brutal invasion in Ukraine began in 2012, we warned that Russia and China collaboration on de-dollarization. The process is reducing an economic reliance on the United States for international trade and finance. Would not sanction proof It would not sanction proof Russia's economy, and it did not, allegedly. As a result of unpredicted Western sanction, Moscow overnight became unable to transact in dollars and euros. So they can't use their dollars and they can't use their euros. Let's keep that in mind when we look at this chart. So the world dominant currency. Russia has since pursue alternatives to manage its trade and reserves. Chinese yen and gold became the star of the show, but both introduced new vulnerabilities and inconvenience. That's how they put the double talk in there. They like Russia, you better pay attention. Yang makes Russia dependent on Beijing's goodwill, while gold is not as sanction proof as Moscow expects, as Russia has had a hard time scaling up its gold trade. So basically, what they're stopping or applying pressure on other countries not to buy the gold that Russia has, so they can liquidate it in the currencies that they can use. But at the end of the day, if Russia has a lot of gold, it's going to create a commodity that they control. So it's a double-edged sword, and people ain't paying attention to that. So in February 2012, heavy sanctioned and isolated, Russia had to find an alternative to the dollar dominating transactions. The new currency needed two characteristics. It had to be repetitively, re, relatively, I do apologize. I don't know why. Relatively stable and minted by a non-sanctioned company, allegedly. Of the few eligible options, such as Indian rupee, pay attention to that. South African rand, pay attention to that. China's yuan was the only one actively seeking an international role and able to take it on. So they said, I think Russia said, so since you want to be international, I don't really care. Let's build you up to be international because we're gonna have to knock who we in war with down. So we had the common goal to a certain extent. What they're trying to say is that Russia don't know how far this will go with actual China and Russia. That, I mean, as far as the relationship, will it go astray with how they're going to do international trade between the two? Because they mentioned in this article that China, if they have the dominant money currency, just like what Americans do, they can control the trade, making trade coming out cheaper and ones coming in more expensive. So let's keep that in mind. Now, the invasion began January 2022. Ruble yen trade value skyrocket after Russia invasion because they're buying that currency. They're buying the Chinese yuan, and they have a reserve of currency. We see that China and Russia has a great reserve of currency. And I'm not saying America does not, but you have to understand when two is better than one. Okay, especially when you have other factors playing a part that we're going to talk about. Moscow has repeatedly intensified the use of the yang in two main ways: increasing the yang share in Russian reserve, so reserving that, switching to direct ruble yen trade instead of using the dollar as an intermediate. So they're finding and creating new trade outlets amongst the two to make it more easy without to not have to trade with the American dollar. At the end of last year, Russian Finance Ministry increased the permanent share of yen reserve in the National Wealth Fund to 60%. And that reserve was usually in European money, but they cannot trade in US or European dollar right now because of the sanction. So ruble yen exchange rate vulnerability. They're going to talk about, basically what China could do to Russia. If you want to know, you can read that. They got to deal with that. But we're going to talk about what's going on right now because China can do some stuff to Russia, but that will affect trades between them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chinese. So they basically, these are the risks that they're talking about. You know how they do the double talk. Like if Russia reading this, you better know you can't trust China. So also in Russia is turning to gold digging. Now this is very important to understand if we're going to start investing in different stocks. Mining. I never did. I have not done cryptocurrency at all. I have done raw material mining such as gold, copper, silver. Those companies you can actually invest in too instead of just the actual physical product, okay? Because as the demand go up for those goods, which are assets brought to you by God, the digging and the need for that goes up as well with the stock. So just pay attention to that. And we're gonna be talking about starting to invest in currency. I am not a expert. I'm not a legal advisor, but I am an excellent researcher. I am an excellent analyzer and a system reviewer. And with those skills, we talk about things, we bring it out to the open, and you make a decision because a lot of the information here is sectionated. I understand because they feel like people can't comprehend. But the buyback team, you comprehend because you comprehend. Like, y'all know how I am. Like, y'all know this. the buyback team know that I expect you guys to give your all. And once you do, it's more easy to process information. I promise you. It's literally like working out and your muscles weak. And once the muscles get strong, you be like, whop, 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 you throwing up the weights. That's how the mind works. Now, is Russia turning to gold digging? So that's why we were talking about mining and investing in those type of stocks. Moscow has been looking for alternative to euro and dollars since its first invasion in Ukraine in 2014. Wait a minute, that threw me off. They've been doing okay. I'm gonna go do some more research on that statement. Do y'all see that? Moscow has been. I said Moscow's part of Russia. I ain't crazy. Moscow has been looking for alternative. Tell me if I'm crazy, y'all. To Europe and dollars since its first invasion of Russia. I mean Ukraine in 2014. Moscow has been a part of Russia. It, this has been a progression. I think we're getting the wind of this damn thing a little bit too late. Okay, this has been bubbling up. Its gold holding, for example, have nearly tripled since 2014. So from that time when they started this little invasion, Moscow, Russia, has been increasing their gold reserves, as we say. Moscow is currently sitting on 150,000 gold bars value at 140 billion, mostly stacked in Russia's vote out of the reach of Russian assets for freezes. See. So they holding other people or other little countries' money too. So they're building up their confidence level with these other countries. And what banks do when you make a deposit with the bank, they take the money and they loan it out. Message. I'm not saying Russia doing that, but they have the opportunity. But as you see what we were saying, the sanctions are not specifically going against gold, like everything in regards to gold. But what they're doing is putting pressure on other countries not to buy gold from Russia, which is going to allegedly deplete their physical monies, which they're using yings now, and then it's gonna have all this gold. I don't know how that's gonna work. Like if they have a lot of gold, they're gonna control the gold market. If China and Russia got a lot of gold and they get together, and America got a good amount of gold, but not as much as both of them put together, what do y'all think is gonna happen? I mean, am I weird? Am I just thinking out of the box here? Is it okay? So let's move forward. Russia has been building up gold reserves since 2014. Baby, look at that. That's a whole lot. It's 46.2 US billion at one point. And now, and this is it just went down just a little bit in 2000. This was 2021. Oh my God, 133 US billion dollars in gold. So we're gonna talk about the gold market because y'all gotta understand what's going on with the gold market. Because today they have a value. You say value in US. If they have 133 billion dollars worth of gold today, and the market is set at 1,800 $1,800. We're gonna look at it. I think the market's closing out for gold value for an ounce. The ounces is 18 to 1900. If it goes up, this value goes up. Now the value has been going up. The value has been going up. They play with this market, so I want y'all to pay attention because we're gonna show y'all a few maps. And I'm going to share these links with you. I'm going to put them in the chat because I know that I don't upload until the morning where the description, sometimes I'd be lazy. After all of this talking and stuff, I just want to relax. So this is one of the articles. Don't pay mind on me, but in the morning, I put it under there for you. This is the second article that we went over. If you want to read it yourself, and you have to interpret this. Hold on. I've been trying to pop up about that cryptocurrency thing. Hold on, bro. My computer want to act up. Okay, let me share this next link with y'all. I do like sharing the links. I want y'all to look. Y'all can just glance at it because what I'm sharing y'all is not fake, but it's how you put it together, how you make it make sense. Because each broadcast are going to show you what they want to. Okay. And the ones that is connected is going to show you the most uniform information, but that doesn't mean that it's correct. Yeah, no, I don't play. I cross reference. I don't care if everybody say one thing. I cross reference it based on truth and facts. So now let's go on to the next article. All three of those articles that we just went through is there. Now let's go into what's going on right now. This is the Wall Street Journal, and I believe I just want to get the date. February 28th. Now this is another article that is up to date. This is so we started back in October, and now we're moving forward to what they're saying now. We're seeing it increase over time over the reserve of Russia. We didn't see China's, but was that Russia? Hold on, was that? Yeah, that was Russia. We didn't see China's, but we know they're doing a whole lot of reserving. And now let's get into this article. There's a few sections that I picked out that we're going to just highlight, and then you can read the whole thing yourself. So this is brought to you by Wall Street Journal. Russia turns to China yen in effort to ditch the dollar. We know that. So let's see what we picked out of here. Now we know that Russia has increased their shares of the yen versus the US dollar. Now this was prior, and as time go on, you're gonna see a big change. Russia economic restriction from the West financial network and the US dollar has embraced alternative, the Chinese yuan. Energy exporters. So we have exports and imports going on between them. And it didn't just start now. That's what I'm saying. People think that, oh, this just started. We highlight. I'm going to recheck. They said since 2017, they invaded. What was it? 14? 14 since 2014. Go look at that article. I didn't make that number up. Moscow been invading Ukraine. Right. The Chinese currency raised inside Russia deepens ties between the two countries that have long rivaled each other for global influence. I don't think they rival each other, but I'm gonna let the Wall Street Journal tell us because how they rival each other and they quickly like just it's been it's been prophesied even in the Bible. The locations of the two nations that's gonna rise. I ain't gonna get biblical on you. But other people have been saying that this was gonna happen out of biblical context. Okay. I don't want to get because people are like, oh Lord, she's talking about the Bible. But you gotta look at everything and then kind of figure out, okay, where are we going? Where are we going? Okay, this is off, this is on, and just move accordingly. You want to survive, right? Or at least you want your generations to survive, right? Right. So my okay, let's go into this. Now, this is what I wanted to show y'all. I hope you can see it. Let me make sure that y'all can hear me and see me. Now, composition of Russia's central bank reserve as of June 2021. This is before they launched. Now, they had Europe, and it was like in the 30s, above the 30s. I don't know if it's millions or quadruples at this point, but you can see the scale and what they have in gold. So right now, they can't use the euro and they can't use the dollar. They can use gold, yen, other, and UK pound. They didn't say they can't use that. So when you put euro and US dollar together, just imagine adding these two to each other. This is about 20. No, this is about 17. This is about 32. 17 plus 32, 949. You got 49. 49% of their reserves they can't use. 49. They can use 51. And if they play their cards right, like get a bunch of the commodity or hold this that is quickly rising in price, they're going to double their portfolio value and asset base. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? I hope so. Baby, somebody's playing checker, not chess. And they got other countries and even black countries, like I told you, Africa. Can I break down this concept for you? And y'all may want to research this yourself, because I do a lot of research on Africa, these places. And make a long story short, at the time when Africa was fighting for its freedom against European and French colonization, the reason why a lot of African countries are free, they ain't rich. They fought with the help of Russia. Yes. Did you know that Russia helped South Africa fight guerrilla warfare? And the president who was in office name was Putin, Vladimir or something, Vladimir. Vladimir is a very like ancient name in Russia. So it wasn't this Putin that helped, but it was like his uncle, father, grandfather. So it's some type of ties between the African continent as well as Russia, as well as the Chinese continent and Russia. So we have to play our cards right. All I'm saying, you just need to be prepared. So in a situation like this, I start to think about where assets going to go, how money's going to fluctuate. So I'm not going to throw my dollars in the garbage, but I'm not going to close my mind to invest in the other currencies to have them for a reserve because they're quickly inflating. They're quickly inflating. If you invest in the yen today, you don't know how much the yen going to be worth tomorrow. It ain't worth the dollar, but you can get a whole lot of yens for your dollar. Message. Pick it up. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? You have to diversify your portfolio, and I'm going to say have to, and know how to do that in a safe manner by paying attention to the market. We over here thinking. You see how? You see how we're thinking? Now, let's go into China. I hate. Oh my God, I got that from Trump. It's so funny. China, since he went, it's so crazy. All right, China. Let's just go a little bit into their reserve. China gold imports from Russia. So China, like, yo, you're not about to get all of this gold. I see what you're doing. I see, like, we can probably be the reserve currency, but if you have most of the gold, then you're gonna have too much power. So China, like, they've been buying gold. China gold imports from Russia up to 67.3% in 2022. So if no other country is going to buy from Russia, China will. And if the other countries are not going to just shut China down, China is not sanctioned that I know of. There was sanctions, put on by Trump, but they sanctions ain't bad enough because we have too much imports that go all around the world from China, and that will be shut down of a lot of countries because we don't produce. They are one of the biggest manufacturers. That's where they get the hold. So they hold on economy by manufacture, and America holds on countries by holding the dollar as the top form of currency exchange that is also connected to the petrodollar. We'll make that make sense. When we were going to the gas issue, there were definitely currency exchange issues going on. Okay, rate exchange pertaining to the flow of gas, if you remember that when it was just sitting in the Atlantic Ocean. So just to throw that out there, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a very systematic person. Me, land, gold, and currencies that are diverse out of the drama and the one that may be the strongest at the end of the drama. You may want to just roll the dice, okay? So Chinese stepped up imports of gold from Russia in 2022, according to the data released by the Chinese Ministry of Customs last week. This was January, okay? Last year, China bought a total of 6.6 tons of gold, Russian gold, and that is good gold. Okay, let me shut up. Worth worth a record US 3869 million, so 386.9 million. Including shipment in both unprocessed gold. So shipment is because when I used to buy gold and I was getting it from Germany, it was like $20 for a postal shipment. So that was included in your expense for your investment. So that's what they were talking about. Overall, gold exports to China soared 67.3 in physical terms and by 63.3 in monetary terms. However, Russia's share in China global purchase remains small, so they're not buying a lot from Russia. Ooh, you see how they smart? They're working together, but I think don't be mad at me. A lot of people may not be comfortable with this concept, but I don't not subscribe or be upset with a separate but equal. And the reason why I say that is because we're all different nationalities. We all have different cultures. And people who melt and pot on each other, like what happens in America, it causes a lot of conflicts. because the perspectives are different. People expect other people to be a certain way. And once you behave a way, it may not fit with this culture norm. We have all of these issues. I don't mind being together, but I mean, the concept of people having their own different concepts of living and not intertwining them and doing for self is very important. And when I'm reading the relationship between China and Russia, both of them are playing checkers. I mean chess. I'm sorry. They're playing chess, not checkers, and they're playing it with each other too. So, however, Russia shares in China gold purchases remain small. The main supplier of gold to China is Switzerland, with sales in 2021. So China's buying from gold. China's buying from Russia, and then Switzerland is buying from China. Does it sound like it? Let's see. I don't know what Switzerland how they feel about this stuff, but there are plenty of countries. The United States is not the only country in the whole world. And for us to have the biggest mouth and not the biggest area, Americans, all of us that's here, are going to realize that we don't realize that we're in a compromising position. And we should just focus on our own country, protect our borders. And I'm not saying not to let people in or whatever, because this is a melting pot. My family immigrated here through the right ways. Take your time. But you have to economically think of the place that you're living. If you want this place to be stable and you want to be there, but obviously, people don't want to be here. So that's why we always have a backup plan. A primetime home buyers, secure your energy. You may want to just get your passport. Now, let's move on. Gold is also used in certain industrial application. The metal is inherent, however, is an excellent conductor of heat and electricity, being used extensively in electronic industries and items such as print circuit. Oh wow, the circuits of a computer, calculator, television. I know gold play a big part, but if they use gold for all of this, it'll be done. And fire detectors, so they use replacement materials. I think they use compounds that's close to gold for there, but you ain't got gold in all those things. Don't be going in them things I just named looking for damn gold. Don't you do it, okay? So pay attention to the relationship between Russia and China, the dynamics of what they're doing, how they're switching their currency and backing it up with gold and creating like a joint currency. Now let's just go into what is going on with gold. Let's look at the price. You know why we're gonna talk about the price? And this ain't even about bragging. I've been telling people, the people who are on my personal page when I started Secure Your Energy before COVID 3-4 years ago, and I was just reviewing everybody, all of these smart and educators on YouTube. I'm like, these people know what they're talking about. They're investors. They wasn't telling us to invest, but places like it's not Khan Academy. Khan Academy is on a regular platform, but YouTube has a crash course. I love crash course. You know what I'm saying? And they teach you a lot about different concepts. So when you're reviewing those and experts that just love what they do, you build up a good knowledge. And that's what we did. So if you're part of Secure Your Energy page, we got a lot of videos from about 3-4 years ago that builds up the concept of understanding what stock market is, where did it come from, what stocks and bonds, how they use, how they trade. If you don't know the main concepts of each term, then you're not going to know how to utilize them in the investment realm. I don't care how many terms you throw around. And just to say that, once you're educated about these terms and how to use them, you're going to be able to catch scammers in the process right away. When you talk about scammers, that's how some of these specialists are coming up and actually exposing the scammers in the Black community, because they're just saying anything. They're saying, the Assets Protection Provision Association, and then because they don't use big words, everybody like, yeah, you got the Assets Protection Provision Association on your side, and that don't exist. So let's just pay attention to the scamming and those type of things. Now let's get to the cost of gold. So about 2-3 years ago, before the COVID, 2 years before the COVID, I started investing in gold, and I did do it to K bars, carrot bars, and I will tell y'all about that. Ended up being a scam, but I didn't know, and I wasn't a fool. Okay, let me explain to you how K bars work. Look at the price of gold first. The price of gold is right now, and this is for 1 ounce of gold, is $19.77. $1,977. it has been increasing more rapidly. If you look at this chart, this is just the time of today. There's another chart that I'm going to show y'all right after this. Let me show y'all this link. I'm going to share the last two links that I that I was looking at, so y'all can look at them. Cause y'all know I'm not gonna upload it till tomorrow. I love y'all. I can't be everywhere. Let me just share the links with y'all, okay? Y'all get to review this stuff yourself. Now, this is where we're at right now. This page is the last link that I'm sharing right now, and this is the Google Finance. It's Google Finance right there. Just got to pay attention to what's going on. But there's another one that I'm going to show you that's going to show you over the term of 10 years. And that's where I'm going to share my story with you. Because I didn't get a lot of gold. I can't tell you what my reserve was, but I definitely got a profit because when I purchased gold, gold was at 1,500, actually 1,450 an ounce. And I was getting into carat gold, carat bars, and people was like, "That's a scam. That's a multi-market. That's a scam." But I learned concepts behind it because I just don't get into everything. Now, the reason why I did carat bars because I felt like it was out of United States. There was a country that had gold reserves, and some of the referrals that they had allegedly was high ranking entities. They was compromising entities like the Rothschilds. I saw that, and the Rockefellers. Baby, I saw it because I researched. But I said, hey, if they buying gold for them, then they got, but crooked and crooked is go. Now, what I did when I was with the K bar thing is that only referrals, what you would do, you would refer, and then that person's supposed to get a portion of gold in their portfolio, and the more you refer, you get. Instead of me getting my little rinkets of gold when they would add up to an ounce from my referral, oh, not an ounce, a gram, whatever it was, I pulled it out. They said, "Oh no, you can have credit cards. You can put the gold in the account. We hold it, and the more you get people buying, and basically you do you know, the cross marketing thing. You could just go to the store." And I'm like, "Well, that's not a good idea because I want to go for longevity. I don't want access of it, and I don't trust you." I didn't tell them that. I got trust issues, y'all. That's probably why I research so much. I love y'all, but you can't trust everybody. I always question stuff, especially when it feel wrong. So I said I'm gonna get all my gold sent to me. And what ended up happening when Carrot Bars did what they did, I guess, not fulfilling the orders when people started cashing them in because the people who had a gold rush and other people didn't know, they like, hey, let me get my gold. They're like, we can't fulfill it. We can't fulfill it. So instead of it being a bank run, like we were talking about the other day with Silicon Valley, it was a gold run for that company. So anyway, I think I lost probably like just 4 grams or so. But everything else I wasn't playing. But with that goes to say, you win some, you lose some. The concepts that I learned from that investment and learning and really, I'm like, I'm gonna get me some gold. So I went outside of K bars and I found gold bullion, these gold outlets, and I got me some gold. And that was time where I was working as a nurse and doing my thing. And as time go on, you just focus on your business, you're selling your courses, you're not making the travel money. Cause it's a sacrifice with a business. I said, let's look at one of these things of gold. And I went to check it. I was like, oh baby, that's a $300 profit. And I can pay a bill right now. This is why they say get something that has the longevity to it that's solid. Because when you need it, when times is hard, you could use it. So it did come in handy for me at that time of the beginning of my transition. And I was like, cool, that was a good move. So do what feels right for you. And I will say a lot of my family ridiculed me. They ignored me, like everybody do sometimes. But I ain't mad because y'all come back and you're going to see. And then when I told my mother, she was quiet. She was like, I said, what? She was like, oh, that's good. All right. So I said, yeah. So the gold, JM Bullion, here we go. The gold price, thegoldprice.com. You can go here. This is another credible credible website. Now here it breaks down silver and gold, but we're going to talk about silver. We're going to talk about gold in the U.S. dollar, how much that is the cost of it. So this is the actual cost, ending off by the day and the time zone. So in the last, let's just look in the last, because I talked about 3 years ago. So this is 5 years ago. Where's the dates here? Okay, here we go. This is 2020. That's 3 years ago. Let's go back. So this is 5 years ago, which is 2018. So the average ounce, as you can see, is $1,325 in 2018. That's not a long time from now. That was 5 years. Now, as the market started 2018 progressing, now this was 2018. It started to be a decrease of gold. I'm going to show y'all from 2008 housing crash how gold was kind of like and it went up while the housing crash was happening, and then it like tapered off because there's a control over this market depending on commodities that I believe they want to be on top. But I'll take a whole glass to shut up. Now, right here is 2020. 2020, what happened? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me what happened in 2020? We had the COVID. And any major crisis and things that happen, the gold price goes up. This is the currency of the God. So I want you guys just to pay attention to this, because as the disaster comes, the price of gold goes up. Now, as things started to taper off in 2020, as the COVID started to go away, the price of gold started going down. You see that 2001, it went down to 1771. It's kind of like staying around. But now, what's happening? What happened 2020? January, right around here. We had 18 because it started trickling up. What happened? Ukraine and Russia and China, all of what we talked about. And as you see, as time goes on, we are now March 2022, and we're at 19. That's March 2022. We are literally twinning it right now. Wow. We're in March 2023, and I'm just like, and you have some people that's gonna like, it's gonna drop. It's a different situation. I don't believe it's gonna drop. I think that if you can get a gram or an ounce, you may want to. Look at silver. Same thing with silver. I'm not a silver collector, but I know the value of assets. And if you can start with just silver for $29.37 an ounce, just pay attention. Because even if the price goes down right now, it's okay. It's $20. Get it. Because when you look over, you see how it went up? This was 2020. What happened in 2020? COVID. What happened? You see how it went up? So it's sad when disaster strikes, the gold prices go up. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? I'm showing you by proof. You can analyze this yourself. Just make it make sense. Let me share this with you. Goldprice.org. Okay. And I'll have this in the description for y'all tomorrow on the YouTube page. Not Facebook, but YouTube. Okay. Now, I think it's one more. Oh, yeah. Now, I know I did a lot of talking about this. I know y'all got a good idea. I just wanted to get into one more concept. It's a little weird to me, but I did not know this. Do anybody else know this? What do y'all know about President Nixon? Like, as a black person, he didn't do much for us, but I'm not worried about that. I'm talking about economically. What did Nixon do? It was allegedly one of the worst economic times in the 80s. Because where am I? Okay. I'm gonna show you this article because I was just doing a little bit more research because I gotta know what I'm talking about before I come and just be talking to y'all. I'm not about to do this. I'm gonna connect some stuff. Now, around the 80s, when I was looking at one of these charts, I noticed that it was a severe like increase in the amount of gold. Let me see, can I find it? Where's the 80s? 30 years. All years. Okay, look. Just look at this. This is what made me look at this Nixon thing. Because I was like, what the hell, dude? Because I was like, what was going on in 1980s that the price of gold went up so high? And then I went to look why. Look at this. 1980. The price of gold shot up. Okay, this is gold prices 100-year historical chart. What happened? And I did my little research and it related to Nixon. Nixon was trying to do something in 1980 before this Watergate scandal came. Okay. I was like, oh, wow, this was a little weird to me. I never knew that. Now, we know that Nixon was the president in 1967. So we're talking about 1980. In this little short, little brief thing that they talk about, is not going to tell you anything about the monetary, but it will say Nixon won the presidency, nominated for president in 1968 by putting together a coalition, including Southern conservatives led. I'm just going to skim through it. He's let's see what he did. Hold on, because I want to get to it because it mentioned nothing about monetary. It did say about him having one of the most horrible economic downpours in his time. And what Nixon ended up trying to do, here we go, is inflation. And here we go. I'm about to show you. I found it. I want y'all to pay attention. This is crazy. I'm weird. I find crazy stuff. Now, this is brought to you by the Botanical Garden. Inflation. Here we go. Inflation and gold. There we go. So I found this article, Inflation and Gold in the 1970s versus today's situation, because I had kind of Googled what happened in 1980, gold economy, and just a bunch of articles came up, and I just honed in on this one, okay? Gold Eagle. So in 1970, inflation, some of the 1970 inflation pressure was due to the fact that President Nixon canceled the 1944 Bretton Woods system that tied the United States dollar to gold. Let's read that one more time. Did anybody know that? President Nixon was before actual Kennedy. And that's why allegedly Kennedy got assassinated. Now you know what I was talking about in the first part of the video. And it's so crazy. He had this scandal that a lot of the presidents do. I ain't saying whatever, but you already know it got exposed. But just listen to this. Some of the 1970 inflation pressure was due to the fact President Nixon canceled the 1944 Bretton Woods system that tied the US dollar to gold. So the gold prices was fixed and the inflation rate was highly moderate. In 1971, President Nixon decided to abandon the gold standard. This in turn allowed the country to expand the monetary policies, or in plain term, rise the monetary supply. Because the monetary supply, well, it can be risen at that time if they was connecting it to actual physical gold. But the monetary supply was based on what the Federal Reserve was giving them and the interest rate. And I don't think he liked it. Did y'all know this? So to start with, during the Great Depression of 1930, the U.S. suffered enormously. And the Great Depression was definitely heightened by the gold confiscation. Anytime depression come, they be stealing that gold. The Gold Confiscation Act was like in 1934, and then they moved on to the Bretton Woods Agreement, which detached the gold from the money and said, "Give you all your gold, or you going to jail." Y'all remember that? We kind of went over that last week. So, what I was just wondering what was going on in the 80s into 90s that caused the price of gold to go up, and it was drama. It was war, and it may not have been a physical war. Was it a war in the 1980s? Anybody was at war in 1980s? I don't remember, but I know it seemed to be like a financial paper and pen war between allegedly the bankers and the United States government, because that president and Nixon wanted to tie the U.S. currency back to gold. So Nixon and Kennedy, back to back. Right. Does that make sense, guys? And that's the end of our lesson. No, I'm just, does that make sense? Come on, let's put some stuff together. So, in a nutshell, I would say that it's very important for you to diversify your portfolio. You don't only pay attention to the assets of real estate, but other assets that you can buy. And I'm not selling you anything. I ain't got no K bars or nothing to share with you. But I got enough knowledge to say, get ready. Let me just show you our last Bretton Woods system and agreement. If y'all don't know what it is, I'm going to share it with y'all. Y'all can read what the Bretton Woods agreement is so you can get your knowledge on. And you can tell people like you don't know what there's some financial advisors that does not understand that the US dollar is not connected to any form of physical assets that's like gold, like God gold. Because oil ain't God gold. Okay, oil is not God gold. So here, that is the article. If y'all see it, but this is what we're going to share. This is the article, the Bretton Woods System of 1944 Agreement, the Bretton Woods. So just break it down so you can know what it is. This wasn't the best deal ever, in my opinion. But hey, I don't control. So the Bretton Woods Agreements of 1944 established a new international monetary system. It replaced the gold standard with the US dollar as the global currency. By so doing, is establish America as the dominant power in the world economy. So why would the President Nixon want to break the Bretton Woods Agreement, which makes his country, the president he's the country of, he's the president of, weaken the economy? Why would he choose to disconnect? Because when you start to look at the interest and the actual monetary system, is not cohesive to growth. And that's why we have bank runs. That's why they're going to try to have gold runs. But the bank runs is like literally embedded in the whole mechanism. And as we talked about, the bank runs is basically you coming in to draw out money that the bank don't have because your deposit, they took more, they did more withdrawals than deposits. Okay. And there is only like 10% of money, physical paper money, constituting for the whole systematic constitution of money. So 90% of it is in paper. I mean, not in paper, 90% of it is online numbers, which is called fractional reserve banking. And I'm done. I went in. I'm done. I hope you guys really, really digged in some of the information that I shared today. Learn about fractional reserve banking. And that's why I never really participated in cryptocurrency, because I looked at it like that. Like you're literally creating something out of nothing. Isn't something from nothing leaves nothing. That's what I always was taught. But anyway, I love you guys. We're here almost for a full hour. You are freaking amazing. Next week, what we're going to do on this segment, we're just going to highlight different currencies and how they're doing across the world. And what is the concept of actually investing in different currencies? I'm not telling you go this person, Dick and Harry, get this. No, we're going to go over the concepts. So when you go to that expert, you're going to be like, I want this one, and that one, because this is how it's performing based on this information. Baby, that's how we do things here at the Buyback team. So I love you guys. I will see you next Friday. We're going to go into how to invest in different currencies. I may put a little PowerPoint, but I don't want to get corny with y'all for the second half. Y'all know I get corny. But y'all going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. So here go a word from our sponsors. You already know. Let's buy the buyback, baby.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.